Welcome to Dark Knight Films Reviews and another Versus Night. Tonight, I will be comparing The Alamo, released in 1960, versus The Alamo, released in 2004. Alright, so let's get started on this one with the leads. The Alamo from 1960 stars John Wayne and Richard Widmark. The Alamo from 2004 stars Dennis Quaid and Billy Bob Thornton. Now, with John Wayne and Richard Widmark, John Wayne plays Davy Crockett and Richard Widmark plays Jim Bowie. And I think they're, especially Richard Widmark, even though he's not tall enough to be Bowie, his performance is damn good as the character. John Wayne is John Wayne. I didn't never really get any vibes that he really felt like Davy Crockett. With The Alamo 2004, you have Dennis Quaid and Billy Bob Thornton, and Billy Bob Thornton is playing Davy Crockett, while Dennis Quaid is playing Sam Houston. So I thought making Dennis Quaid Sam Houston was a missed opportunity because you've got this great actor in Dennis Quaid, and he is being used in basically a side story in this until the very end when he brings down Santa Ana. And it's just like, you could have had anybody else playing that role. Why did you not use Dennis Quaid for something like Jim Bowie or something like that? And to be honest, as much as I like Billy Bob Thornton, I don't think he was as good as Davy Crockett as what Dennis Quaid could have been as Davy Crockett. But, so I'm going to give this one to the 1960 version. I think John Wayne and Richard Widmark were much better in their roles. All right, so let's move on to supporting. Let's see if we can get a different outcome there. Supporting cast in the 1960s Alamo consists of Lawrence Harvey, Richard Boone, Frankie Avalon, Patrick Wayne, Linda Crystal, Ken Curtis, and Joan O'Brien, while the supporting cast on The Alamo 2004 consists of Jason Patric, Patrick Wilson, Emilio Echeverria, Jordi Mola, Leon Rippey, and Mark Blucas. Now, the supporting on the 1960s film is excellent in two aspects. Lawrence Harvey is great as William Barrett Travis. Excellent. He's one of my favorite actors to have ever played that role. And then you have Ken Curtis, better known as Festus in Gunsmoke, but he is playing completely against type on that and showing what an excellent actor he really was in his role as the second in charge to Travis Dickinson. And he is damn good in this, as is the actress playing his wife in here, Joan O'Brien. This really does give you those really good vibes of, you know, your feeling for these people, because you see that Ken Curtis's Dickinson has a family, and they are choosing to stay in this Alamo where you know it's not going to end well. Then you have Richard Boone as Sam Houston. And he doesn't get much to do. It's unfortunate there, similar to Dennis Quaid. Dennis Quaid does get a little more as far as that with that character, but Richard Boone, unfortunately, this movie ends on the Alamo battle and that's it. It doesn't go any further the way that the 2004 version is. So Richard Boone is really hampered here, unfortunately. Frankie Avalon, amazingly, does an excellent job in his role in here as well, as does Patrick Wayne and Linda Crystal. Now, supporting on 2004, Jason Patric is badly miscast in the role of Jim Bowie. He just does not feel like Jim Bowie to me at all. Richard Widmark was a hell of a lot better in that role. And then you have Patrick Wilson, who's a really good actor. Both of those actors are really good actors. But Patrick Wilson as William Barrett Travis does not work. I'd say the biggest standout out of the supporting cast in the 2004 version is Emilio Echevarria as Santa Anna. And that's only because Santa Anna is given a little bit more to do than he was in the 1960s film. But his performance is not enough to put 2004 above 1960 in my opinion. So I'm going to give this one to the 1960 version as well. All right, so let's move on to story and see if we can get a different outcome there. Both of these films tell the story of the 1836 siege and battle of the Alamo. The Alamo 1960 only has Sam Houston with us, as I said before, in a brief cameo, but it does focus more on the women in the Alamo, such as Dickinson's wife and daughter, as I said before, and they are excellently played in here. Whereas the 2004 story, it focuses more on the political points of view of both the Mexican and Texan sides, as well as the personal lives of Travis, Bowie, and Crockett, and Santa Anna, as I said before in my supporting. He is featured more prominently. I don't like some of the, personal lives aspects that they did put in here because, number one, like I said, I don't buy Patrick Wilson as Travis. I don't buy Jason Patric as Bowie. And I don't buy Billy Bob Thornton as Crockett. So seeing their personal lives doesn't really get me the way that seeing the females and what they're going through with what's going on at the Alamo in the 1960s version. So I'm going to give this one to the 1960s version as well. All right, so let's move on to direction, even though this seems like it's already a clear-cut winner here. But let's do it anyway. The 1960s Alamo is directed by John Wayne. The 2004 Alamo is directed by John Lee Hancock. John Wayne originally was supposed to just direct the Alamo 1960 and only wanted to play a small role as Sam Houston. The studio would not allow that to happen, so they forced him to go ahead and jump into the role of Davy Crockett. And I think that was a mistake. I think he should have stuck to his guns and said, hey, you know this movie's going to be a hit because I am, putting everything into this. I'm going to make sure this works. And he could have cast somebody really, really good to play Crockett in here. Hell, he was friends with people like Robert Mitchum and Kirk Douglas. He could have talked those great actors into playing the role of Davy Crockett, and either one of those would have been pretty damn good in that role, I believe. But the the studio would not allow him to just play Sam Houston. So we got Richard Boone instead. There's similar on the direction in the 2004 version, because it was originally supposed to have been being directed by Ron Howard. But he had to drop out at the last minute, and they brought in John Lee Hancock instead. And John Lee Hancock is a good director, but I think his direction in this film kind of loses focus on what is important and what we're wanting to see out of an Alamo movie, and that is the Alamo. Like I said, the private lives and the personal lives of all these characters and the political bullshit going on, I don't think people cared about watching any of that. So I think a lot of that hampers and brings down the 2004 version of the film. So, yeah, I'm going to give this one to the 1960 film as well, which gives this film a clean sweep of a score of 4-0. Now, I'm not saying I dislike the 2004 film. I think it's a fine film. It's just not near as good a film as the 1960s version, in my humble opinion. But what do you guys think? Do you agree with my assessment on these two films? Do you disagree? Let me know in those comments down below. And as usual, if you enjoyed this video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to click that bell icon so you can be notified about future videos just like this one. And while you're by the subscribe button, click that join button and become a Dark Knight fan. As a Dark Knight Fan Plus member, you have access to an area on the channel right now where you can request a movie, TV series, or ranking video of your choosing. And when that video goes live, it will go up for all Plus members to view prior to it going up for all other subscribers. So, you want to help us to get more reviews on here that you would like to see, become a Plus member. Well, that's the end of another Versus Night. If you missed last week's Versus Night, check out the link up in here. Or if you've missed any of the other Versus Nights, check out our playlist and see anything that you have missed.